Okay, everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're switching gears again now that the engine is done for the S10, and we're just kind of in limbo, waiting to find out when it comes back from the body shop and all that good stuff. So, having said all that, the parts for the race car are finally here. So today, we're going to get started putting the rear end in the car. As you saw a couple videos ago, we got it set up. Got all the welding done on it, all that jazz. So Brian's on his way over, and Phoenix as well. And they're going to help me get the rear end in the car. Hopefully get all the wheels on the car and get it sat back down. And it's going to start looking like something. Look who finally decided to show up for work. It takes him like 5 minutes to make it into the garage from the truck, even though it's like 20 feet away. It also looks like he is Phoenix-less. Flying solo today, if you will.
Hey doggies. Hey doggies.
As you enter the premises, you are on film.
Hello. Happy Saturday. Where do you want these?
Just throw them under here for now.
I was wondering who you were talking to.
No, we were just talking about you, how it takes 5 minutes for you to make it from the truck to the door every time.
Hurry up.
Well, Brian said he brought tacos, so I'm going to take all of that back, but I'm going to leave it in the video. Okay, so this is the second day. We didn't film any of the rear end install because it was just, we fought the thing from start to finish, top to bottom, inside and out, and it was just, it was a drag. And ran into a little glitch. So in all my infinite wisdom, when I put the lower control arm brackets on the rear end housing, I put them on there in a manner like I did in the blue car that we started with earlier when the channel started, where the lower control arm brackets are centered the same width as the ones that are in the car, and from the factory they're wider. So the problem with that is that these really nice shocks that I bought that bolt in the stock location won't work because the shock is, or the lower control arm brackets are wider and the shock bolts to that. So now, effectively, the shocks would have to sit something like this. Not the end of the world. It's just some fabrication that I didn't plan on doing. So I'm going to grab the camera, take you up under the car, and you can kind of get a look for yourself to see what's got to happen. All right, as you can see, rear end is in the car. And herein lies the problem. As you can see, this space right here, something has to happen with that. I got a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do. I had to go and get the correct bolts for it, so it's time to get started working on that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make spacers for this and for this area, so when we tighten this bolt down, it doesn't collapse the bracket or anything, because we want to maintain this bracket to use it for positioning up and down for the ride height. So we're going to go over to the lathe and spin a couple of these things up real quick. All right, so first things first, we're going to make the bushings for the shock spacers, or for the original shock brackets themselves. Nothing to it, just a piece of 1-inch aluminum stock with a hole drilled through it. Okay, so the trick there is to drill the hole far enough through the thing so all we got to do is part the next pieces off. And we don't have to drill any more holes, hopefully. That's the plan, and I'm sticking to it. It's like the parting tool is already set up. These little guys need to be 1 9/16 wide, so right about there. There's one. All right, so the steel pieces are little scraps that are left over from something else, but they're the right kind of material and the right diameter, so we're going to go ahead and use those. All right, well, that's about the end of the machine shop part of it. So let's go over there and get this stuff put in the car and see what it looks like. Okay, so what you see here is the spacer's installed, and you can kind of see the other one up underneath there. So as it is, this shock is going to have a lot of leverage on this bolt right here, and this particular bracket isn't welded or keyed to this bracket, so it can rotate in this direction and effectively lower the car when you really don't want to lower it at the worst possible time. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a bracket. We're going to weld a bracket to this little dude right here, and it's going to come up and catch one or two or whatever bolt holes on this bracket right here. That way I think it will keep it from rotating, it'll add a lot of rigidity to it, and hopefully keep us from having any problems in the future. It's about the only thing I can do right now aside from adding something to the, welding something to the housing up here, and I really don't want to do that just yet. So, time to go over to the bench and do some fabricating. Okay, we had to do a little bit of thinking outside the box and make a bracket that's going to weld to the steel spacer, which I kind of explained a little bit earlier. So this is what the first bracket looks like. Kind of wing it a little bit, and now I'm going to show you how I made it while I make the second one. Okay, so one thing to remember, particularly in projects like this particular bracket, there's going to be a right and a left. They're going to be mirrors. So you can't simply just make another one like this, like I almost did, and like I've done a million times before, and even though I know better, I still do it. So I'm going to draw this thing out. Really, the text goes off right now. I'm going to draw this bracket out on this piece of tubing. One thing to remember, and it's probably not even of much concern, but for strength purposes on something like this, whenever you make this bracket, you're gonna, in this case, I'm gonna make it out of some square tubing like this. Whenever you make this bracket, you want to try to not use this side of the tubing if at all possible. And we have plenty of tubing to make one of these, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. Okay, we laid a good one on there just like that. All right. So in cases like this, I'm the worst about cutting on the wrong side of the line. So as you saw just a second ago, I scribbled all those lines in there. So I would know that that is actually the bad part of the part, and to favor that side of the line. So when I come back and dress it up on the belt sander, it looks good. So I'm gonna rough this out on the saw real quick. I'll be right back. All right, got both brackets here. Now you can get an idea of what they look like roughed out versus finished. That phone always goes off, it doesn't stop. So, yeah, roughed out. La da 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 da. Got to hit it on the belt sander, and hopefully slap them on the car pretty quick. All right, there we go. We got rights and lefts. And if you lay them down on the table, they're actually really close to the same. So let's see if we can get these tacked on the car and get some holes drilled in them and get them ready to roll. All right, so I tacked the first one together, and this is what it looks like off of the car. And then if you look really close here, let's see if I can tilt it just right. Yeah. You can see scribe lines for the bolt holes right there, where I reached up on the inside of the bracket using a right angle pick, and I scribed the bolt holes that are there. So, time to weld this one up, test fit it one more time, and then we'll go ahead and do the other side. All right, so we got that bracket fitted and welded on the driver's side, and it looks like everything's gonna work good. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the camera. I'll show you what the passenger side looks like, which is exactly the same thing. And we'll get it tacked in place, bring it over to the bench, weld it up, and put it back on the car, hopefully for the last time. All right, there it is, located in place. We're just gonna tack weld it here, and then we'll reach on the back side of this control arm bracket and scribe the bolt holes, and we'll drill those. That will keep this thing from getting shoved around as the shock, you know, puts pressure on it when the car leaves the line and whatnot. I'm sure it gets quite a load on it, so I guess we just, I don't know, kind of got to play it by ear, but I really don't expect to see any problems out of it. So let's get it tacked together and bring it over the bench and weld it up. All right, there it is, the finished product. You see I got the ability to use 2 bolts in there, and I think actually what I'm going to do is use a smaller bolt than this and machine some sleeves that go in there so I can use both bolts. This bracket will probably have to be changed if I have to alter the ride height using this, but I shouldn't because I've already set it once, so I should be able to get most of it now with the adjusting the coilovers, and everything should be fine and dandy. So on to the next step. Okay guys, that's probably a good stopping point for this video. Finally back to work on the race car now that we got the engine together for the S10, and it's kind of sitting in limbo waiting for its new home. So yeah, next step on the race car, I'm not really sure. There's plenty to be done. Probably going to involve doing the last couple of bars in the back, the crossbar, maybe the fabrication to mount the fuel tank and stuff like that. That way we'll get all the welding and stuff out of the way. So anyways, as I said earlier, that's the end of the video. Thanks again for stopping by and catching my little boo-boo there that I had to fix. Looks like we got a pretty satisfactory fix in place, and I think it's going to be just fine. So I guess we'll find out the first time I let go of the trans brake, won't we? Anyways, as usual, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And now we are back in motion getting some stuff done on the race car. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We will see you in the next video.